Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and this is going to be a little bit about the state of mapping and just my experience with mapping. It'll be some tips, yeah, just sort of like musing on my findings and maps in general. I guess I'll talk a little bit about that too. It'll be an endgame rant talk video. Wow, it's not very ranty because I'm quite enjoying it. And remember, with all this, I've only played one build so far, which is the minion build. Very popular in hardcore, but obviously not even top 10 anymore on power level, which is crazy. People were like, wow, this build needs to get nerfed, but now we're seeing like 5 to 10, maybe more different builds, like one-shotting the Ubers on the highest difficulty, which is kind of crazy. And definitely not like the power level a lot of people were expecting. I think the campaign really set the tone for the power level that people were expecting. But either way, I've been doing, today I did like another 15 Jin Barriers. I'm trying to get that, like, there's a crazy unique jewel and it's called Against the Darkness. It's very cool. And if I list by most expensive, you can see some of the cool ones. So some might be overpriced or whatever, but some will probably be very expensive. The one that I'm particularly trying to farm would be anything with spirit, so they'll give me roughly 100 extra spirit from a jewel. So there's a lot of different cool mods on that. Very cool. I've been farming that all day. I'll talk more about Sanctum later because I really want to talk about maps. In maps, you start at a tier 1s and it's very clear progression. It's like first do 10 tier 1 maps, then do 10 tier 2s, etc. And the closer you get to tier 15s, you start having to do less maps. I think it's like 8 and then 6 on the last few tiers. And you start getting Atlas points. And Atlas point wise, I went over here first. Then I went over here, and then I took this stuff last. A lot of people really like this on softcore. It's incredibly strong. I'll talk about this in a sec, but once you start filling this in, the bosses will become a lot harder. Noticeably very tanky. Like when I started doing normal content again, after having done +4 bosses, I was like, wow, these are disappearing. But I particularly want to talk a little bit about this node. Absolutely love it. It's one of the best things in my opinion. I am on solo self-found. And it's so good, particularly the grass biomaps have 40% increased chance to drop socketed currency. All of my 6 things, and I've found 5 or 6 now, have been in those areas. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, how do you know what is in which area? And it is pretty self-explanatory, where, like, you know, Mire, it's a swamp. It sounds like a swamp. It's in a bit of a swampy area. This one's a little bit more obvious. But yeah, Steppe, I believe that's also a swamp. Now, I'm not 100% sure about indoor maps. Is this a crypt in a swamp? So I'm not 100% sure. And there are some, like, side to side mire can be forest as well. So there is some ambiguity there. There are some that can be both. Like savanna, I believe, can be both grasslands and desert, for example. I think oasis can only be desert. But you get a rough idea at least. Some might be either. Desert's probably the clearest. Deserted, hive, blooming field is here in grasslands. And this influences what you get. So I've been farming like that a lot. Whenever I need barriers, I will be focusing on desert. Whenever I need grass, or sorry, socket currency, I'll be focusing on grass. And like swamps, while they don't have the best layouts, they do drop a lot of currency. 2 of my divines, I think, were from that. So it does seem to have a pretty noticeable drop rate. Now, I do not have any rarity, sadly. I've just not been able to fit that on my gear. It's unfortunate, because I'm seeing people with similar playtime to me have literally like shit tons of divines on solo self-found, but they are playing with like 200, 300, 400 rarity. Rarity affects your gold, your currency, sadly, and just you're getting more rares. Like at that point, you actually have to hide rares. I'm not. Playing the game with 0 rarity is definitely a very different experience, but I'm getting a lot of 6 things at least. Now, some people will be curious about map sustain. I did do a video on mapping tips and tricks and stuff like that, but generally what I'm doing, I'm going from tower to tower. I'm target farming breach right now. I'm particularly focusing on increased waystone drops, increased quantity, anything like that, and then just additional breaches. And I'm currently target farming breach to get a hand of wisdom in action. It's a really cool glove. It used to be a club, but it looks like this. Very cool. Good for stat stacking. I want to try a new build that I haven't seen anyone do with that, because there are a lot of different builds you can do with it. Another thing that I've been doing that's helped me a lot, especially saving my tier 16 maps, which is tier 15s that are evolved. So I have one tier 16 here. So I'm going to put this in whenever I find... Actually, I have an example here. I don't really like running the monkey that much. I've not had any problems with it. Just too many other people have had problems with it for me to want to do the monkey boss. I am working on a spreadsheet of what boss is in what area too, but if you see here, this has the irradiated, but also the beyond and the boss. So if I put the tier 16 map in here, it's a tier 18 map, and it's an 82. And that's how I got my first level 20 gem. This was really huge for me in Soul Self-1. It was a very noticeable damage boost, and level 20 gems can be really rare. Now, a lot of people said they did like 15, 20 plus level 20 16 maps in things like this and didn't get one, so I probably got crazy lucky on my first level 20 gem, but that is what I'm going to do. I save all my tier 16s for these. I don't run a single tier 16 outside of basically these double +1 maps, so that's pretty big, been really good for me. I also try to get some towers that affect like quantity, things like that. Obviously there's not really anything that gives plus gem drops. I think is mapping fun. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. I'm enjoying ritual. The rewards are a little bit... I'm mostly hunting the boss. I really wish omens would be way higher drop rate. Expedition's my least favorite. Or delirium. Actually, both expedition and delirium are super annoying for different reasons. Expedition, I just never find any logbooks, even when I'm like actively trying to get the logbook boost. But very frustrating experience. And the crafting itself is kind of whatever. I guess that's very RNG. I just haven't had much success with the crafting, so a little bit frustrating there. Delirium, the frustration is that whenever the boss spawns, I don't know if Kosis exists in PoE 2, and that's just a PoE 1 thing, but I've only seen the other one. First, the bar shows up really early, and you don't really know exactly where he is. He should have a map marker, first of all. And every time he's despawned, like, it doesn't pause the fog, and it's really frustrating. Even if like I have a really good damage build and the fog is just so fast. Other times it's bugged and the fog doesn't move. So too many bugs with Delirium, didn't really enjoy it. Don't know how rare the higher oils are. I don't really have any of the higher oils, even though I'm only running into tier 15. I mostly have low ones. It's a very crazy disparity though between tier 15s, and I can talk about this too. And low level maps. Also, the way you get these, you start by doing a first tier 15 map. Then you have to do a tier 15 map with a +1. Then you have to do a tier 15 map with a +2, and then you have to do a tier 16 map with a +2. So that's how you get those. And my last 2 points, they would be from killing the boss at level 0. So I went for quantity of items, chance to drop a waystone, area contains an essence, and then bosses are irradiated, gives you +1. You really notice the map difficulty. You really notice it. Now, the drops are pretty potent. When I'm running tier 15s now, it is magnitudes more drop than tier 1 to 14s, really. Like, I like, especially if you have rarity, it's crazy. Like, people are dropping exalts and divines like that. Rarity's definitely overtuned. Even without that, it's so crazy. And I think a part of that is we as a community, we were complaining about the drops without having seen tier 15s. Nobody was at tier 15s. We hit this insane wall in tier 1 maps and we were like, this is not it. And I think the buff was really good for and healthy for like early maps and the campaign, but they might have overdone it a little bit for tier 15 maps. And I'm sure a lot of people that specifically are in tier 15 maps with a pretty min-maxed Atlas and they're doing towers are like, yeah, we're probably dropping a little bit too much. It's very much towards PoE 1 levels there. But I think earlier than that, like tier 1 to 13s especially, was pretty okay and didn't feel over the top. But I mean, I spent 40 minutes in one map because there was so much to loot and stuff, and I'm SSF, so I'm a little bit loot hungry, more than I should be probably. And I used all 6 portals, and I was IDing gear in the map and just looking at stuff. So tier 15s is crazy. There's also a big power imbalance in some builds. There are people that are still struggling through the game, and then you have a lot of other people that are literally one-shotting Ubers at level 5. And level 5 has crazy health, by the way. So we already have people doing millions of damage per second. Like, I think there's people doing over 10 million per second already. Even the build I'm playing now does not look very crazy compared to the builds people are playing. Oh, sorry, yeah. Somebody in chat just reminded me, 137 million DPS, I think is the current record. Which I don't think many people were expecting in the early access, because we saw the campaign, and from their interviews and what they were talking about, the campaign was what I was expecting the game to be. I was not expecting people to be one-shotting Ubers. It'll be interesting to see like when they come back over the break. I don't mind too much either way though. I will say, because I really enjoy PoE 1, and this is now more similar to PoE 1, and I really enjoy PoE 2. So, and I enjoy games like Elden Ring. So for me, I don't know. I honestly, it doesn't really matter. I'm just like musing out loud, and also I would love to hear what other people think. Like, were you hoping for a more slow-paced game like Elden Ring? And are you happy with the fact that people are already doing 130 million damage? Do you think that they should just move everything up to 130 million? I definitely don't think that. I think I'm doing roughly 1 million per second right now. Maybe like 500k per second. Finding citadels is awful. Not being able to zoom out on the map is awful. Not being able to put markers down is pretty rough. And crafting, I honestly don't know how I feel. And I kind of want to like wait with that. Because a lot of people are like, don't you wish scours and alterations were back in? And I'm like, I definitely enjoyed PoE 1 crafting more. But I really want DDD to see like, can they make something different be really interesting in PoE 2? Because I'd be okay with that. I don't currently like it, but that doesn't mean that it has to stay bad kind of thing. I don't know. It definitely makes like when you actually hit an item a lot more fun. Although like, oh my god, not being able to replace runes is awful. Rares, they should probably have that there can be 1 or 2 rares left and the map can be completed. I don't know. Having to full clear and seeing a rare all the way back to start is very anti-fun for me. Hopefully I'm not the only one that thinks that. Now, I haven't done much ultimatum, but I will talk a little bit about Trial of the Sekhemas. This is what I'm running right now, because I'm on a pretty strong build. So I'm running a lot of quantity of relics dropped. That means that the boss at the end is dropping 2 relics. But if you do loads of... I'd recommend... What I was running to make it very easy was the merchant has 2 additional choices twice. Very, very good. I had 2 of those. And I had one with, like this, with... Well, try to get 75 max honor. And then movement speed after that. It's very easy to get because I had like overkill. I had more than I needed. I actually think I accidentally had 95% max honor. But yeah, right now I'm just running quantity of relics dropped. So really, really good. And remember, if you're struggling in a room, you can log out, try it again. It won't like reset your run. But the honor you lost in that room will be lost. So you can obviously still lose. But super fun to farm Sanctum. I've mostly been farming for that unique jewel that I showed. And then these, they're very strong. I have not found that many. They're very rare, and you can still get the run spectrums. But it takes me roughly 30 to 40 minutes to do a run right now, and I think I've done 20, 25. So, yeah, I'm enjoying running that. Kind of run out. I think I have 1 Barrier left. Yeah, 1. And I'll probably run more of those. But yeah, either way, I hope you guys enjoyed my map/endgame rant, and let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. Again, like, it'll probably be based on what you play, how you play, etc. And again, remember, all of this is from minion point of view in tier 15s. So either way, thanks for watching. So if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.